Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 10th of September and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in this video we'll discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu with the background as well as the way forward in the articles. Now guys, before starting I would like to tell you that you can download this explainer PDF from the Telegram channel and you can follow this particular PDF along with the video in order to understand the articles in much better details. The Telegram channel link has been given in the description box. So in the description box you can search for the Telegram. Okay, now first of all let's take the overview of the entire newspaper in order to understand that which articles are important into the today's newspaper. So the first page here we can see India China to take up remaining LAC issues. So guys, we have seen yesterday that on to the patrolling point number 15 there is the pullback of the armed forces that has happened. Now on other points of confrontation the measures will be taken. Okay, however you don't need to go and follow this particular article in the detail because guys the commander level talks are happening after very frequent intervals, and so therefore all the developments in this particular article are not important. Then moving on, Supreme Court allows bail to journalist Kappan who was arrested while he was going for one reporting, so that has been provided. Then after that the political articles etc that has been given, these tenders etc are not important for our examination. Then guys, moving on, so here we have seen that yesterday also that the Rajpath has been renamed as the Kartavya Path, so now it's open to public. Okay, snatchings in Delhi. So crime related news and all these news, regional news are actually not important for your examination, so no need to go too much in detail. However, here we can see one article, Gehlot launches job guarantee scheme. So guys, this particular article is talking about the urban MG Narega. So very important article with respect to the examination. We'll see this particular article. Then guys, moving on, other political articles, these advertisements, tenders not important, so therefore directly we'll be reaching to the editorial page. So first article, the stark reasons why Bengaluru is sinking. We'll see this article with respect to the GS paper number 1 and 3. Good article. Then after that, staying the course. So guys, this particular article talks about the inflation that's there in the inflation that's going on. Now understand this particular thing, that from the past 2 days continuously we are seeing the articles where the finance minister has clearly provided this particular thing, that though inflation is little bit higher than the comfortable range, but right now controlling inflation is not a big priority. Growth generation is a big priority for the country. So that is very clearly government has provided that particular thing. Now guys, this article is talking about the inflation data etc. However, the inflation data changes every month, so you don't need to go and track the data that okay at what month inflation has at what particular level. Then moving out of the shadows from silence to assertion, we'll see this article with respect to the women issues, end of an era. So guys, we have seen that the Queen Elizabeth II has passed away, and in that capacity where there are some challenges that now the UK will be facing, we'll see that article. Then moving on, the ground zero report, so when the IT capital went under, so this article again talking about the Bengaluru floods. However guys, in this ground zero report, the account of the people who are suffering, the personal accounts of the people, all these things are provided. Okay, so therefore you don't need to go too much into the ground zero. However, this particular article will cover along with the editorial. Fine. Then moving on, the political articles not important. Fine. Bilkis case, Supreme Court seeks remission report. So we have seen the Bilkis Bano case in which the convicts were released. So on that particular case, the reports have been asked. IT survey team took data on by cloning server Oxfam. So guys, the Oxfam basically which has been an NGO and which has released many of the reports, particularly the inequality reports etc. So on that it has been provided. However, you don't need to follow the raids, IT raids and all these things that are happening. Then Supreme Court takes up pleas against the Places of Worship Act. We'll see this particular article what it's talking about. Be positive of our change. So business line change maker award has been discussed. So business line awards have been discussed. Okay, then moving on. After that, make anti-TB campaign a mass movement. We'll see this article. Center bans export of, just a minute, center bans export of broken rice due to domestic demand. So guys, basically few months back also there were some of the bans on the export of the food grains that was imposed, and now the same thing is going on. Then after that, Vande Bharat production will begin on October. No need to see this article. Railway floats tender for Indian wheels. Again, no need to see this particular article. Then basic skills poor in the regional language NCRT. We'll see this particular article with respect to the education and related issues. Then the world page, Charles was to follow in his mother's footsteps. So guys, we have seen here that the King Charles III has now become the new king after the Queen Elizabeth has died. Okay, then moving on. After that, reaching to the business page, Finance Minister tasks Reserve Bank to whitelist legal loan apps to protect the borrowers. So, guys, we have seen this particular thing earlier also. That what has happened? There are many of the apps that are providing the loan to the people. Many of the people, including the teenagers, they are taking the loan from these particular applications. But there are very high interest rates, and they are the recovery agents who are doing recovery. Okay, and therefore what has happened, many people have even committed the suicide. So finance minister has asked the RBI that basically they need to come out that what are the legitimate apps in this particular direction. Okay, after that, direct tax mop up rose by 30%, finance minister. Okay, PV dispatches rises 21%. Okay, so understand this particular thing. I tell you many number of times that when we talk about the business section, the business page, okay, in the business page, business news is not important, economy news is important. Now when we talk about the economy related news, economic concepts, phenomena, okay, the state of Indian economy, these are something which is important. So therefore, just the data, okay, the tax collection increased by this much percent, GST collection increased by this much percent, you don't need to bother too much about that particular data, because you keep in mind that you are preparing for the exam which might be few months down the line. So till that, these data will not be making much of a sense. Okay, then we have the sports page. So that is all, guys, the overview of the newspaper, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Okay, so every class I give you a GS quotation that can be used in one of your GS paper. So today we'll take the quotation from the Abhijit Banerjee, the Nobel Prize winner. He says that poverty is not just a lack of money. Poverty is not just the lack of money or the lowness of the income. It is not having the capability to realize one's full potential as a human being. Now guys, understand that how you can realize your full potential. You can realize when you are educated, when you are skilled, when you can work on your creativity, when you work on your imagination, then the full potential of a human can be realized. Now understand, all the great people in the history who have been there, they would not have been those if they would not have been given the leeway to work on their imagination. But what happens when a person is poor? The entire life go in struggle. Okay, the person is not able to realize his potential because he is not able to work on his imagination, creativity, innovation, skills, education, anything. So poverty is not only the lowness of income, it restricts your capability to realize your full potential. So guys, this is a very good idea, and we can use this particular idea with respect to the poverty in GS paper number 1 as well as GS paper number 2, GS paper number 1 as well as GS paper number 2, poverty related issues are there. So there we can use it. So that's all about the quotation, and now let's take the first article. Okay, so first article, let's first of all read the heading. It says, Gehlot launches job guarantee scheme. Okay, now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, social justice, as well as in the GS paper number 3, the issues, the GS paper number 2, social justice, as well as GS paper number 3, employment and related issues. We'll see this particular article. Now, before going in this particular article, guys, let's take some of the background. Now the background goes like this, that as we talk about the present times, the unemployment has become a really big problem. According to the periodic labor force survey latest report, that is the 2020-2021 report that has been released, the unemployment rate in India right now stands at 4.2%. Now 4.2%, it is really a very high unemployment rate. This is one thing. Moreover, guys, understand this particular thing, that what has happened with the pandemic and the lockdown that came, the informal sector in India, it has faced a lot of sufferings, economic prospects of the people got declined. And if I give you some data, guys, understand this particular thing, that 91% of the people, just 1 minute. Okay, when we talk about 91% of India's labor force, 91% of India's labor force is involved in the informal sector. It's involved into the informal sector. Informal sector is one where there is no written contract between the employer-employee. There is no social protection to the employee. So 91% of our labor force is working into the informal sector, and because of lockdown, they got impacted. So therefore, guys, there has been the need that we need to come out with some job guarantee. There has been the need that there needs to be some job guarantee that should be there. Okay, job guarantee should be there. There should be some kind of a income security. Now understand that for this particular thing, we already have some mechanism into the rural areas. What mechanism we have into the rural areas? We have the MG Narega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Okay, so into the rural areas we have the MG Narega. Now under the MG Narega, what happens? 100 days of minimum 100 days of paid employment is to be provided to the people. Okay, 100 days of paid employment. Now understand one more thing, that if a state government wants, it can increase this particular 100-day guarantee to more days also. For example, 120, 150. In the past we have seen that the Odisha, for example, had provided the job guarantee of 150 days as well. So minimum 100 days of the job or employment is to be provided to the enrolled households under MG Narega. This is something. But what about the urban areas? How you will provide the jobs to the people in urban areas? Okay, what about their poverty that's there? How you will cater them? So for that, we did not had any scheme for the urban areas. And guys, into the past, there have been many demands that for urban areas also a counterpart of MG Narega is to be brought. So there was the demand that we need to have an urban MG Narega. We need to have an urban MG Narega as well. That was the case. Now, moreover, understand this particular thing, guys, that if I tell you data, now I have provided you some additional points which is not there in this particular article, but very important. So guys, please either note down this particular point that I am going to show you now, or download this PDF and attach this particular note in your notes. So this is a very important some findings that I'm sharing with you. So guys, if I tell you that actually right now the urban population in India is actually increasing, and in this particular capacity we have the United Nations State of the World Population Report, and according to the UN State of the World Population Report, by 2030 40.76% of India's population will be living in the urban areas. So understand this particular thing, that now the people are moving from rural area to urban area. People are moving from rural area to urban area. Secondly, guys, at the same time, the urban people are becoming poor also. So recently, few months back, I have discussed with you also, if you remember and if you are following the regularly, that the Niti Aayog report was released, and Niti Aayog has provided that nearly 8.81% or 9% of the urban population are multidimensionally poor, that they are poor on many fronts with respect to the assets, with respect to the money they are spending on their on the education, the money they are spending on their food, all these things. So 9% people are multidimensionally poor. So two trends we see, that population of urban area is increasing and the poor people in the urban areas are also increasing. So therefore urban job guarantee scheme is very important thing that India needs. Now understand this particular thing, that in this particular capacity the now the Rajasthan government has done a very good job. What Rajasthan has done? Rajasthan government has come out with the urban employment guarantee scheme. So they had come out with the Indira Gandhi urban employment guarantee scheme. Under this particular scheme, what will happen? The economic support, 100 days of the work will be provided to the poor and needy families. Now the people, so basically the job cards will be made for the families, and on the basis of that job cards, 100 days of minimum urban employment will be provided. Now these people will be employed in the environment and water conservation. Okay, so environment conservation, water conservation, rainwater harvesting plants, they will be working in cleanliness and sanitation department. They will be working for stopping defacement of property. For example, what happened, many times people put some posters onto the public property, they destroy the public property. So defacement of public property, such as putting banners and all these things, they will be stopping them. Then service related works, convergence works and heritage conservation. So you know that in Rajasthan there is a lot of monuments, fine historical monuments, so their conservation they'll be working upon. Moreover, the work such as the tree plantation, ponds cleaning, garbage collection, catching stray animals, in all these particular works these people will be employed and they will be provided the wages. Okay, so this is a very good scheme that has been launched by the Rajasthan government, and we can provide that such examples need to be followed by the other state governments also. Now guys, one more additional point you can take here. Actually what has happened, just a few months back, there was also a parliamentary standing committee on labor that was constituted, and the parliamentary standing committee on the labor in its 25th report, fine, and the name of the report was impact of COVID-19 on rising unemployment and loss of jobs, fine, in organized and unorganized sector. You don't need to remember the entire name, just you can say that recently the parliamentary standing committee in its report, they has provided that we need to make sure that the plight, the sufferings of the urban poor should also be taken care of. Up till now it has not got much of the attention. So therefore this 25th Parliamentary Standing Committee report onto the labor also recommended that the urban job guarantee scheme needs to be there in India, which now the Rajasthan has implemented. Okay, so guys, this is a very good point, and on these particular lines even a full-fledged question can be asked either in GS2 or in GS paper number 3. So please keep all these points in your mind, and please guys either download this PDF, explainer PDF, or note down these points in your notebooks. Okay, so now moving to the next article. Okay, so basic skills poor in regional languages, NCERT. Okay, now before going in this particular article guys, I would like to give you some of a background, and please understand this background, and after the background only we'll be going in this particular article. Okay, now first of all, understand this thing, that what has happened in 2020, we have come out with the new education policy 2020. Now the new education policy 2020 has provided about many of the reforms it has talked about, and at the same time the NEP 2020 has also recognized this thing, that in India the outcome of education has been very much poor. What do I mean by that outcome of education has been very poor? It means that the students foundational skills in basic numeracy, in basic literacy, reading skills, they have been very much poor. Repeatedly this particular thing has been provided by multiple NGOs also. For example, annual status of education report provides that in India majority of the students in class 5, they are not able to read even the class 2nd text. So the foundational literacy and the foundational skills in the people are very poor. Okay, so foundational skills in the people are very poor. In the students are very poor. So therefore basically the NEP 2020 provided that there needs to be a national mission on numeracy skills that government should be bringing about, and it has been provided that all the students till the class 3, they need to have these foundational skills. Now what are the foundational skills? For example, recognizing the mathematical digits, recognizing the numbers, reading the basic text, these are the foundational skills. So it was provided in NEP 2020 that till the class 3rd the foundational skills needed to be corrected. Okay, that was something that was done, and the foundational skills are to be corrected by the year 2025. This was the target of NEP 2020 that was there. Now understand that if you want to build the foundational skills into the students, we also need to have some number that what's their present status. Okay, then only we can do some improvement. So guys, obviously we need to have the present status as well. So therefore guys, what happened, government has now carried this particular survey. Now government is now seeing that what is the present state of fluency, what is the present state of foundational skills into the children. So recently a survey was carried by the two bodies. One was the NCERT, and the second was the Ministry of Education. Now this particular report that they have released, the name of the report is National Report on Benchmarking of Oral Reading Fluency with Reading Comprehension and Numeracy. Okay, again I'll repeat the name. National Report on Benchmarking of Oral Reading Fluency with Reading Comprehension and Numeracy. In this particular thing, what they have done, they have carried a survey onto the children of till the class number 3, and their foundational skills have been tested, and now it has been provided by the report that actually the foundational learning of students in Hindi is very much poor. The foundational learning of students in Hindi is very much poor, but at the same time even in other regional languages, mother tongue also, their understanding is very much poor. So basically it has been provided that in regional languages of some states the performance was even more poor. Now some data is provided. Around 53% of the class 3 students in 18 states surveyed for Hindi, okay, they had limited knowledge. 53% student had limited knowledge, okay, in reading as well as in comprehending the language. But But when we talk about the regional languages, okay, 59% of students either lacked or displayed limited skill. So in Hindi, 53% students have limited skills. In other regional languages, 59% students has limited skill. Limited skill means that they have little understanding. They don't have complete understanding. Okay, so this is something. So guys, this is the baseline survey that has been done. Now understand this particular thing in the chronology. Okay, तो आप chronology समझ लीजिए. What's the chronology? Chronology is like this. Number 1, new education policy. New Education Policy 2020. NEP provided that the foundational skills in the student till the class 3 are to be built. Okay, good. Then guys, after that particular thing, now government is carrying the survey. In this survey, the present skills of the students will be tested, and then these particular skills will be improved. You getting it or not? Now one more thing I am telling you here, so that you can connect all these particular things together. Actually guys, last year 2021 government had started one more scheme. What is the name of scheme? The name of scheme is Nipun Bharat Abhiyan. Now in this Nipun Bharat Abhiyan, what government has done? Government has provided that we will improve the foundational skills of the class up till class 3 students. Okay, and for this Nipun Bharat also, they need the data that, okay, what's the present status? And this survey that now has been conducted will be helping them. And on the basis of this particular survey, the foundational skills of the students will be developed. So this is guys the entire issue. Okay, I had provided also here the Nipun schemes reference in the last point. You can read it by pausing the video, or you can download the PDF. Now that's all about this article, and now we'll move to the next article. End of an era. Okay, so this particular article guys talks about the passing away of the Queen Elizabeth II, the British monarch. Now understand this particular thing guys, that first of all, I have discussed this particular entire issue with you yesterday into the 9th of September newspaper analysis. Okay, and yesterday also I have told you this particular thing very clearly, that you are not required to go and follow the entire life history of the Queen Elizabeth II. She has been the longest serving British monarch. She served for the 70 years and now she had passed away. But yesterday we have seen, now guys, UPSC is not going to ask the question on the life sketch of the monarch, so no need to go there, no need to unnecessarily get deviated. Now there is one issue that I am going to discuss with you, which has some strategic dimension with the passing away of the queen. First of all, some of basic information we'll discuss. Is that guys, basically Queen Elizabeth's reign started in 1952 and she had served till 2022. So it means that she had served for the 70 years. The Queen Elizabeth II's coronation actually happened in 1953. Her coronation actually happened in 1953, but her reign began in 1952. For example, now we know this particular thing, that the King Charles is now going to become a next king. So who will now succeed the Queen Elizabeth? Queen Elizabeth will be succeeded by the King Charles. Okay, now this is the thing that is happening. Okay, now understand this particular thing, that guys, when we talk about the King Charles will be assuming the monarchy of UK. He will be assuming the monarchy of UK. Now along with this particular thing, there are two concepts that I want to tell you. Number one, there is the Commonwealth of Nations, and then there is another, that is the Commonwealth realm. Now what is the Commonwealth of Nation? Guys, Commonwealth of Nation is the grouping of 56 countries. It is the grouping of 56 countries, and these 56 countries are those countries which were earlier ruled by the Britishers, ruled by the British Crown. So these are the 56 countries which come into the Commonwealth of Nation, and in these 56 countries even the India is included. Okay, and then there comes the next, is that is the Commonwealth realm. Who is the Commonwealth realm? Understand this particular thing, guys, that there are certain, now what happened after the British Empire subsided, okay, it reduced. What happened? Countries, some of them become republic. For example, India. Okay, and some of the country retained ceremonial monarchy. Some of the countries retained the ceremonial monarchy. What does this particular means? Now there are basically there are some of the countries, okay, there are nearly 15 countries right now, 15 countries who still recognize the British monarch as their monarch, but they don't have much power. It is just a ceremonial position that they are holding. So two things are there. There is the Commonwealth of Nations, where 56 countries are there. They are the grouping of the countries which were earlier ruled by Britishers. That's it. British monarch don't have any power on these 56 countries, and in these 56 countries India is also the one. And after that there are the Commonwealth realm. Commonwealth realm are those countries who still recognize the British king or British queen as their monarch. So earlier Queen Elizabeth II was the monarch there, and now the King Charles is going to be their monarch. So King Charles will assume the will become the monarch of the Commonwealth of will become the monarch for the Commonwealth realm countries and for the UK as well. This is going to happen. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the present times, what has happened, there are many of the countries which are saying that we want to come out of this Commonwealth realm. Okay, now in this particular capacity, guys, for example, in Australia, this is a debate that is going on, and they say that we want to make our country as a republic. We want to make our country as a republic, as India has done. So guys, in India, who is the head of the nation? President of the head of the nation. And who can become the president? Anybody can become the president of India if that person satisfies few of the condition that is there. So there is no royal family in India. Okay, any common citizens can become the president upon fulfilling certain conditions. So India is a republic. Australia right now is under the Commonwealth realm. They want to become a republic. Along with this particular thing, for example, Barbados try to remove the British monarch from the role of the head of the state. And along with that particular thing, all the countries where the British monarch still holds the monarchical position, they are saying that we want to become complete republic. We don't want to stay as the Commonwealth realm members. So this is a kind of a challenge that is now coming onto the British monarchy. Now when we talk about the Queen Elizabeth II handled this particular thing very gracefully, and now the King Charles has to face this particular challenge, and how he will be facing this particular challenge, this is something that's to be seen. Is it clear or not? So basically two things I want to tell you: Commonwealth nation, 56 countries; British realm, 15 countries including the UK. Commonwealth realm, 15 countries including the UK. Okay, so that's all. Now we'll move to the next article. The stark reasons why Bengaluru is sinking. So recently we have seen that there are the floodings into the Bengaluru, and because of that Bengaluru floods, this particular article has now come. Okay, so let's see this particular article, guys, and meanwhile this particular article will be seen with respect to the GS paper number 1 urban flooding issue, as well as GS paper number 3 issues related to the environment, ecology. Also we'll see this particular article. Okay, so basically let's first of all try to identify that what's the basic reason that Bengaluru has flooded. Now number one, guys, understand that, see, suppose this is a city. Now when in a city there will be urbanization, when there will be more people from the rural areas, they will move towards this particular city. What will happen? This particular city will try to expand in all the directions. Now the land is needed for the construction. Now what happens actually, guys, sometimes there are some of the lakes that are there, then there are some of the wetlands that are there, then there are some of the abandoned river courses that are there. Okay, abandoned river courses. Now you know this particular thing, that river changes its path from time to time. So some places are there where earlier river was flowing, now that path has been abandoned by the river. So these particular paths now are dry land. And what happens when the city expands? Even in those abandoned river patches, there is some construction that is done. These lakes, they are drained out, and there is some construction that is done. Over the wetlands, there are some construction that done, and over a period of time the city has expanded in all these particular things. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that these lakes, okay, these wetlands, they were not just a kind of a land, but rather, guys, because of their geography, because of the elevation pattern that is there, they were serving a very important role. That is, they were the buffer zones. Now what is the meaning of this buffer zone? Now understand this particular thing, that suppose there is some abnormal rain came, some abnormal rain came, so that extra water that came, it used to go, or it used to get diverted into these lakes, or it used to get diverted into these wetlands. So these were the buffer zones which were absorbing the excess water if it's coming from rain, if excess water is coming from the overflowing of the river. So basically guys, nature is very smart, and nature has made these particular kind of standbys. Now but what we have done, we have built the buildings over these lakes, over these wetlands, and now when the excess rain is coming, obviously the water will come around these lakes and wetlands. But now here you have constructed society, now here you have constructed the IT parks, you have constructed the markets here. So basically nature is not doing any cruelty, nature is taking its own course, but where the nature used to come, you have constructed the buildings there. And the same thing has happened in the Bengaluru, Moreover guys, understand this particular thing, that when there is a river, suppose the river has abandoned one particular path, now when the excess rain will be there and the carrying capacity of the river will be overwhelmed, the river can again come back to its old path on which it was flowing. And if you have constructed something here, again that particular infrastructure will also be flooded. So when we talk about the situation of Bengaluru, what has happened, the city of Bengaluru has been constructed on encroached land of lakes, watershed, wetland, etc. Now when we talk about the Bengaluru, how it has expanded, so we know this particular thing, that 40-50 years back, around the Bengaluru, the villages that were there, these villages, these panchayats have been disbanded, and the 6 city municipal corporation came out in and around the Bengaluru. Later what happened, these 6 municipal corporation, they got merged in one, that is the Burhut Bengaluru Mahanagar Palika. And in this particular thing, what has happened, there was the land records that were either destroyed or tempered. How the land records were destroyed? Basically the land which was a lake area, the land which was a wetland area, these land were also converted into the commercial lands, and they were sold to the builders, they were sold to the constructors, and over them the apartments and all these particular things came. Okay, so this is a fake corrupt interest that also has transpired. Now understand this particular thing, that these lakes, catchment areas transformed into the private lands, technology parks, but you cannot defy the nature. Water find its own level, and now it has happened. Now when we talk about guys, the same thing has been done in many of the European countries also, and into the USA also. So when in Europe and USA there was a problem that the cities were expanding, what they have done, they have carried the ruthless destruction of the environment, and they have also suffered, India is also suffering. Now understand this particular thing guys, that majorly our cities have also two very big problem. Problem number one is that problem of free riders. Free rider mean that everybody take the advantage of the city's infrastructure, but people don't want to pay the taxes, they don't want to pay the user charges. You see this particular thing in India, even around 3% people are paying the income taxes. Okay, and many of the city utility charges, utility taxes, majority of people don't pay. So therefore many times city also don't have much of money for the maintenance, and when the maintenance is not there, they cannot maintain the storm drainages, they cannot maintain the sewages, and if there is a rain, such kind of a thing will happen. Second, there is a tragedy of commons problem. Now what do we mean by the tragedy of commons? So basically guys, if there is some common resource, let's say there is a common water, now on this common resource everybody has a right, everybody can exploit this common resource. So what will happen over a period of time, because a resource was common, it will be exploited by everyone. Okay, and what will happen at the end of the day, it will be harmful for everyone. So what is happening, so there is a common resource, everybody is exploiting it, and at the end of the day this common resource will be depleted to such an extent that everybody is going to get harm. Okay, so there is a tragedy of commons. What has happened, basically the wetlands, lakes, grassland, trees, parks, forest, they belong to everybody, and because they belong to everybody misused them, everybody abused them, and therefore what happened, all this particular system got break down, and today they belong to nobody. And today what happened, they belong to nobody. Why they don't belong to nobody? Because today there is no lake at all, there is no wetland at all. So common resource was exploited by everybody because everybody thought that it is there, but then that common resource is lost for all, it's depleted for all, and then it belongs to nobody. So this is the tragedy of commons. That's a very big problem that is there. Now understanding this particular thing, that what has happened, basically I told you that the same problem has happened into the Europe and USA also, but how they dealt with that particular problem, they took lessons and they changed their urbanization policy, they grew with them. But in India we had not done anything. Now therefore guys, when we talk about even the Bengaluru implements the reforms but very slowly. But now there are some urgent reforms that are needed. And what are the urgent reforms that now we need to put in place? So just a minute. So some of the urgent reforms that we need to put in place. Number one, there is a need to execute institutional euthanasia. Now understand this particular thing guys, that basically when we talk about the euthanasia means a kind of a the euthanasia means a kind of a death. So basically understand this particular thing, that today when we talk about the Bengaluru, the problem is because of the multiplicity of institutions, and these multiple institutions, when we talk about they are creating a lot of problem. How it's creating a lot of problem? Now suppose there are multiple institutions. For example, when we talk about the urban flooding, there is public work department, there is flood and irrigation department, then there is, let's say, the municipal corporation. Okay, then many multiple departments are there. Okay, if everybody is given the task of the urban flood management, everybody will say that okay, PWD will say that it's not our responsibility, it is the responsibility of the flood and irrigation department. Flood and irrigation department will say that it is the problem of the municipal corporation. Municipal corporation will then find another body and they will put burden on them. So what has happened, the problem is that there is a multiplicity of institution, and this particular thing does not improve the execution. What happens, everybody is basically putting the responsibility on the other's shoulder, and in between then corrupt politicians, bureaucrats, land exploiters that come. So we need to go for institutional reform. The present institutions that are existing, they are to be demolished, and entire kind of a effective institutional mechanism is to be built to solve this particular problem. This is one thing. Then outdated institutions that are there, they are need to be replaced by constitutionally compliant structures. Local government need to given a kind of an accountability. Mayors are to be given a accountability that they should be coming out with some viable solutions. Then the community needs to our community need to make sure that we are taking the tough decisions. Now what are the tough decisions that we need to take? Understand this particular thing, that guys, climate resilience is something that is to be focused upon. Okay, we need to minimize the damage that we are doing to the environment. In this particular capacity, some hard decisions are to be taken with respect to the transportation. For example, car travel, that's there. Okay, because what happened, if everybody will be traveling in their own individual car, you need to have a lot land of you need a lot of land for infrastructure. For that particular thing, again the encroachment on the forest wetlands will be done. So tough decisions have to be taken. We need to be more environment friendly. Public transports need to be used, emphasized more. So community had to take some of the tough decision. We need to preserve our existing green cover. We need to plant more trees around the city. We need to again turn the concretized areas into the wetlands, lakes. This is something tough decision that is to be done. And basically the legacy of unacceptable construction and encroachment that's there, it needs to be removed. And then a political approach needs to be then the political approach needs to be corrected. Now what is the meaning of the political approach is needed to be corrected? Understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the Bengalurus, there have been the politicians who have exploited the Bengaluru for decades. Just they are bothered about their vote bank. Okay, their consideration is not the environmental protection. So basically we need to make sure that the political approach needs to be corrected, and the politician need to make the environmental conservation as a mainstream agenda. So all these particular things are to be taken care of. So guys, this is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Moving out of the shadows from silence to assertion. So this particular article, guys, it is important with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to the women. Now this particular article is talking about that how now the women, particularly the Muslim women, they are now coming out of the wheel of conservation and all these things, and now they are coming out openly into the judiciary. They are asking about their rights. They are challenging the traditional ideas or traditional notions that were always exploitative to the women. So basically guys, recently we have seen that a petition was made for the Talake Hassan. Now understand this particular thing guys. Some of the background I would like to tell you. So basically when we talk about the divorce, in the Muslim community, there are majorly two divorces are there. Okay, there is basically triple talaq. When we talk about the triple talaq, there is one instant triple talaq. Okay, now what is this instant triple talaq? Instant triple talaq is called as talake biddat. It is called as talake biddat. Okay, in talake biddat, what can happen? A person or a husband can pronounce talak 3 times immediately, and in that particular capacity, what will happen? The wife will be divorced. So this is talake biddat, that is the instant triple talak. And then there is another talak also, which is called as talake Hassan. Now what is this Talake Hassan? The Talake Hassan is also a version of the triple talaq, but it is not instant triple talaq. Here the husband can pronounce the talaq over the course of 3 months. Fine. So first month, second month, 3 months. So over the course of 3 months, the husband can pronounce the talaq, and only after that the wife will be divorced. So this is the Talake Hassan. Now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the Talake Biddat, already the Talake Biddat has been unconstitutionalized. Okay. Moreover, there is the Muslim Women Act 2019 that also came, and the Talake Biddat in India is now unconstitutional. It is even illegal. But what is about Talake Hassan? So up till now in Talake Hassan, there is no ruling or no law that has come. So recently a woman approached the court and asked that the Talake Hassan even needs to be removed. It needs to be made as unconstitutional. This is something that was there. Now guys, what has happened? Basically the Supreme Court has provided that the Talake Hassan is actually not so improper. Okay. Now the court observed that the Talake Hassan is not so improper. Why? Because the court has provided that this particular thing, that the women also have an option to give the divorce over a long period of time. For example, there is an option of khula. Now what is this option of khula? So basically guys, let's understand this particular thing, that when a Muslim man and the women are married, when a Muslim husband and wife, when the Muslim man and women are married, at that point of a time the husband gives some consideration to the wife called as meher. Some consideration is given. This consideration could be in jewelry, this consideration could be in cash. So the meher is given. Now if the wife wants, wife can return this particular meher back, and this is a way that the wife is seeking the divorce. So the Supreme Court has provided that, see, when the Talake Hassan is there, over a period of 3 months the husband is taking a divorce. Over this particular time, the wife also has an option that it can return back the mahar and can take that divorce. So this is something, therefore the Supreme Court said that it's not discriminatory. Not only the men are getting the power, so it's not discriminatory. So therefore it was not so improper, it was said by the Supreme Court. But anyhow, we need to appreciate this particular thing, that the women are coming out and they are speaking for their rights. At the same time guys, there are many of the now, so this is that the Muslim women are coming out and they are asking to come out of they are talking about their rights. Now there is one more issue that has happened right now. The hijab issue is again going into the Supreme Court. So we have seen this particular thing, that earlier the Karnataka High Court, now I have covered this particular topic I think 2 times in past 3-4 days. So Karnataka High Court earlier had provided that the wearing of the hijab, it is not an essential practice. Wearing of hijab is not an essential practice. So therefore the schools, if they want, they can ban the wearing of hijab. Okay, this is something. Now the Muslim women has approached the Supreme Court and they had said that they should be allowed to wear the hijab. So schools should not restrict them from wearing the hijab. It is their constitutional right. The women have provided that India practices the positive secularism, and in this positive secularism, women's rights, such rights are needed to be respected. So this is something that the women has again approached to. So basically the article is talking about that now women are going to the courts and they are now asking the recourse for their rights, and this is something which is very good. We need to appreciate such kind of a trend. So this is something which have been provided in this particular article. Beyond this guys, you don't need to go and need not to read even a single line. So that's all about this particular thing, and now we'll move to the next article. Supreme Court takes up pleas against Places of Worship Act. So this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 1, issues related to the society, issues related to the Indian secularism, as well as issues related to the religious harmony. Okay, now let's understand this particular article. So basically guys, this article is talking about the Place of Worship Act. Place of Worship Act. Place of Worship Act. Now what is this Place of Worship Act? Understand, first of all, you don't need to go too much into the detail in this particular article because it has become little bit a politically controversial topic also. Places of Worship Act and the need to amend this Place of Worship Act, this has become a political controversy as well. Now understand, first of all, that actually the Place of Worship Act came in 1991. Now you know this particular thing. This was also the time around which the Babri Masjid demolition and all these particular things were there. Okay, now understand this particular thing, that what is this Places of Worship Act? Places of Worship Act provides that the place of worship's religious nature must remain the same as it was on August 15, 1947. Now what it means? It means is that suppose on 15th August 1947 a place was a temple, or a place was a mosque, or a place was, let's say, a church. So what their status was on 15 August 1947, that particular status will be assumed to be as their permanent status. That particular status should not be asked that we need to change that particular status. That particular status will be assumed that it is their real status. Understand this particular thing guys, that actually under this Places of Worship Act, there was one particular, there is one religious place that has been given a kind of an immunity. For example, that this particular act does not apply to the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid in Ayodhya. Are you getting? So the premises of the Ram Janmabhoomi, there this particular act is not applicable. And apart from that, it is being provided that whatever status of a place was on 15th August 1947, that particular status will be assumed as a permanent status. No petition for the change of that particular place, etc. will be accepted. This is something that has been provided. Okay, so this particular act says that no person shall convert any place of worship of any religion denomination into one of a different denomination or section. So what was the status on 1947? That particular status will stay. This is something that actually happened. Now guys, many of the religious communities, they have went to the Supreme Court and they say that this Place of Worship Act is needed to be amended. Why? Because it has been said that actually many of their religious places got encroached into the historical times, and now they again want to reconvert those places to their original places of worship. For example, somebody say that there was a particular religious shrine, okay, belonging to X religion. This particular religious shrine converted into the shrine of Y religion by some historical invader. So we want the power, we want a recourse that we can go and we can ask for the change of status. So they want such amendment into the Place of Worship Act. Now guys, this particular thing is being debated, and it has been said that there is a kind of a constitutional challenge that also come in this particular capacity. Now please pay attention, this is the most important point. What's the constitutional challenge? So basically there was the Minerva Mills judgment. You might be reading about the Minerva Mills judgment in your polity also. So Minerva Mills judgment, now what is this judgment? It has provided that the judicial review is actually the basic structure of the constitution. So it provided that basically judicial review, okay, is a very important aspect of the constitution. Understand this particular thing. Places of Worship Act, it says that no status can be changed. So it is even restricting the judiciary, that judiciary cannot even pass an order to change the status. Now when we talk about the judicial review, the meaning of judicial review is that the judicial's power are unlimited. They can review any law, they can review any law, they can see the validity of any law. So the judicial review power provides that if the judiciary wants, judiciary can look even into this particular Place of Worship Act. But as Place of Worship Act says that there cannot be any review, so it is violating the judiciary's power of judicial review. And in the Minerva Mill case, it was held by the Supreme Court that taking away the power of judicial review would make a mockery of the distribution of legislative powers between union and between the state, and will render the fundamental rights meaningless and futile. And even the basically it has been said that judicial review is the basic feature of the Indian constitution. It should not be violated. So it has been said that when you don't give the power to look in this particular act, it is violating the judicial review of court. So therefore we need to look in this particular act and its validity. This is the question that's coming. Guys, again I am saying this particular thing, that please don't go beyond that. Why? Because it is little bit a political controversial art issue also which has happened, because that the angle of religion is also coming here. You getting it or not? So understand this particular thing. And guys, I tell you many number of times, some articles you need to go too much into the deep analysis is to be done. We take analysis from different angles, even the reports, judgments, etc. we take, but some articles you need to have the academic viewpoint only for your UPSC examination. Now, so this particular article we have taken from the Hindu, and here the president had said that we need to make anti-TB campaign a mass movement. We need to make anti-TB campaign a mass movement. Okay. Now, okay. So basically, guys, when we talk about the TB, okay, so basically TB, it is a kind of when we talk about the TB, first of all, certain facts I want to tell you about the TB. So for number one, when we talk about the TB, there could be two versions of TB. There can be the, just a minute, there can be active TB, and then there could be latent TB. There could be active TB, and then there could be latent TB. Now, when we talk about active and latent TB, what it means? Active TB means now see the bacteria. Okay, when we talk about the TB is caused by the bacteria, that is the mycobacterium. Now, this mycobacterium bacteria might be present in many people's body, but it doesn't manifest itself. So therefore, that particular case is called as a latent TB. For example, a person is having mycobacterium into the latent form. The person is not manifesting all the symptoms of a TB. That is a latent TB. And then there is an active TB. Active TB is one where the mycobacterium that has infested a person, it is showing its symptoms. So active TB and latent TB. Okay. Now, when we talk about the tuberculosis is a very big burden on India's health. In this particular capacity, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the India has less than 20% of the world's population. Okay, in this capacity, around 18% of world population is there in India, but 25% of all the total TB patients of the world, they are in India. So therefore, we need to focus particularly more in detail over the eradication of TB. So therefore, Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan has been started. Therefore, what has been started? Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan. Now, what is this Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan? Basically, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the eradication of TB, sustainable developmental goals provide that by 2030 the TB is to be eradicated. But because India has a lot burden of the TB, we have said that we will be achieving this particular target by 2025 only. Will achieve this particular target by 2025 only. Okay, so therefore, to achieve the target by 2025 in mission mode approach, this Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan has been launched. Okay, this has been launched. Okay, so you can see that we have taken the target to eradicate TB by year 2025. Now, in this particular capacity, what government is doing? Government is going for the prevention of disease. In this particular thing, free of cost medicines are being provided, detection is being provided, people are being provided all the supports for the TB. So therefore, the TB eradication campaign needs to be made a success. In this particular capacity, people are to be empowered, they are to be educated, and they are needed to be provided the diagnostic facilities, they are needed to be provided the medicines. Government is already doing all these particular things. So this is something, just an address that was given by the president. So that's all about it. Okay, and just TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan 2025, the timeline, that also you all need to remember. So that's all about this particular article, guys. And with this, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis, and now we'll be meeting, guys, on Monday. So I tell you that please keep Sunday as a day for revision. Okay, because consolidation and revision is very important. If you don't consolidate, if you don't revise, these points will not be coming into the exam. So please keep one day for the revision. Revise your entire week's current affairs as well as your static portion that you have learnt in the entire 6 days, that is to be revised. Moreover, on Sunday, we don't have editorial page, we don't have text and the context page. Okay, so these lifestyle and these things, they come in the Sunday's newspaper. Okay. and however if there is any development, that will be taken anyhow. So that's all guys about this. Now we'll be meeting on Monday. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much, and if you have liked the video, please do hit the like button and please do leave your lovely comments. I personally read every of your single comment. It's really encouraging for us. Thank you so much.